All right, let's get to it. All right, guys. So today we're going to be sanding and prepping our clear coat on our backyard special spoiler. Now, I don't know if you guys can see all that well, but look, it's got some serious bubbles on the clear coat. Look, they practically pop right off. That's not good. It seems to be just this front part. I guess it's because, the sun hits this part a lot more, because if you look at the backside, you can kind of see a reflection. It's not all that great. It's kind of scratched up and scuffed up, but I mean, it's still a whole hell of a lot better than the front. I mean, look at that. See, this is more or less what I would expect to look like after all these years, but I mean, this is just terrible, honestly. So we're gonna go ahead and try and restore this. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this spoiler off, and hopefully we'll be able to knock this out in no time.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Look, it just looks weird without a spoiler. I don't know. It's got that bald look now. Oh, don't worry. We'll get you set up real quick. All right, so I wasn't really sure what exactly I needed. I just knew that, I needed to sand this stuff. So I managed to get a hold of, 3 basic ones. So 120 to prep the surface. Once it's finished, I can apply the clear coat after this. And once the clear coat is applied, I'll be able to polish this with these 1500 grit sandpaper. I noticed I stick to the Goku side, but there is also a Vegeta side. I mean, the Goku side came out pretty cool, but the Vegeta side has lines, and I'm not all that great at lines. But here it looks like he's gonna slap, and I mean, we know Vegeta likes to slap. Ha! In all honesty, I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, that's what we're working with. Look, we got orange peel as well as bubbles and peeling and fading over here. So we're gonna go ahead and just blast through this sanding real quick. We're gonna do prep on the bubbles maybe, and just smooth out any roughness with this finish, and then this will only be used after the clear coat. All right, let's see if I can do this without messing up too bad. Yeah, we managed to smooth out all the bubbles, at least somewhat. I mean, if I can get it to look like the backside, I'll be glad. I really did only focus on the front side. I didn't really do the backside, because the backside, I think we'll just need to maybe do a light sanding with some really high grit sandpaper, seeing as there's really not many imperfections on this side other than some scratches. So we're gonna leave that to the end. Hopefully in the morning I'll be able to wet sand this, and maybe I can get those pesky little bubbles to smooth out with the higher grit sandpaper.
It sound right, boys. sound right, boy.
All right, so here we are after trying our best to smooth out these pesky little bubbles. So what I've found was the best method was using 180 grit to sand down. I gotta go over this again, but basically just sand down each and every little bubble until it turns into a splotch here. Very scientific terms. And then once that happened, I switched over to, I think it was 220 and smoothed it out. And then I started to wet sand, also using 220 and 400. Like I said, I'm not really sure what the process is for this, but I do know that I have to go back over again because these little bubbles are still bumpy and I need to smooth those out. I do not want to have to do this again if I mess up the clear coat. So hopefully what I'm doing doesn't come out too bad because it is very messy. Okay, so here we are after we've sanded the back. It's pretty smooth for the most part. Like I said, this part didn't need all that much work. Now for the front, this part was really bad. But I think we managed to smooth it all out now for the most part. All right, so I'm gonna be using the 2K clear coat to hopefully restore this backyard special spoiler because, you know, they're really expensive and honestly, I like it. I like this spoiler. So this is what it looks like after we sanded it down. It's pretty smooth. It still has some streaks on it, but we're gonna have to clean this up with some alcohol and then tape up the actual badge on this bad boy right here so we don't get any clear coat on it, and hopefully it comes out pretty good. All right, so before we get started with the actual painting with the clear coat, we're gonna wipe this down with some alcohol and tape up that badge. Let's get to it. Hopefully it looks that good when it's done. Look at that, nice and ugly. Oh, please don't come out ugly. Okay, so it says, shake for 2 minutes, invert cap, and place red thing underneath the can, then tap it, and then shake for 2 more minutes. So, I've been shaking for 2 minutes. We're gonna place this right on there. And then just tap it, I guess. Is it supposed to make a noise or something? I don't. So does the thing stay in there though? It doesn't say. These instructions are garbage. I inverted it. It's supposed to stay in there. All right. 2 minutes, here we go. Yeah, this can is not meant to be sprayed inside. This gas just gets everywhere. I'd recommend someplace outside. Now the goal is to be able to see the reflection. And look, even now you can see it. There's my hand. So this is after just 2 coats. And this side didn't actually get a lot of paint. So hopefully by the time we're done applying as many coats as we can get of this can, it will look like a reflection. Look at that shine. This is what we want. We don't want that peeling clear coat look, but this is after 3 coats. Unfortunately, I think I might have to do another one because I don't know if you can see, there's some, yeah, you can see that right there. There's some spots right there where the clear coat didn't quite land, I guess. So after using the entire can, this is what it looks like. I haven't actually wet sanded it or polished it just yet. I'm still waiting for it to cure, but I think it came out pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna be using this 1500 grit to try and hopefully smooth out and get rid of some of this orange peel. Hopefully it comes out right. I'm gonna be wet sanding it. Okay, so here we are after wet sanding it. It looks like shit, I'm not gonna lie. But it looks so much better when it was just clear coated, you know, and all shiny and reflective, and now it just looks kind of like before I started to paint it. So I'm gonna finish sanding down the rest of this bottom part here. And hopefully, I think the next step would be to polish this and use compound before, so we can remove any leftover material from the sandpaper. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll see what it looks like in the end, and hopefully it doesn't look as dull as this. All right, so now we have just finished applying the compound, and using this drill I managed to buff out quite a bit of it, so now it actually looks kind of shiny. Looks like that brought back some of the shine. Hopefully when we put the polish on, it will restore it back to the way it looked before, and I'll be able to see a reflection. I can kind of see something now, you know, but not as clear as it was before. So hopefully with the polish, we'll be able to shine this back up again. Boom, let's do this. Please don't come out ugly. Come on. All right, so this is what it looks like after the polish, and it didn't actually do much. It actually looked better with the gloss that came straight out of the can instead of sanding and using compound and then polish. I think I'm just gonna see, look, the back looks a little bit better. I still haven't hit this with the compound or the polish. I think it'll just come out better if I spray it again, don't sand it, and only use compound. And maybe then it'll come out good, because I want this thing to look glossy. The way it is now, it's kind of shiny. You can kind of see the reflection on that end, but you can't say this is glossy. I mean, it's not. It's just not. Look, you could have seen my hand before, and I really wanted that. I thought that looked dope, but I fucked it up, so now we have to start over.
Several days later.
Okay, so after weeks of putting this off because I don't have the paint and being lazy, I have come to the conclusion that I cannot be lazy with this, because man, it's tricky. So after 3 coats of using the spray, the 2K spray, it looked good. I mean, I have the footage, it looked good. But when I went to sand it, when I went to wet sand it, I'm not sure what I did wrong. I thought I did the right grit. I went 1500, then 2000, and then I used compound to bring it back and polish. And here we are with the polish, and it doesn't look that good. So I'm gonna use 600, come back and respray this, and then I might skip the wet sanding and just go straight into the compound, because the wet sanding kind of seemed to mess it up, mostly probably because I didn't know what I was doing, or, you know, I did it wrong. Either way, not want to risk it again, because that is the last can I have over there. Oh, there you go. Don't do what I did. Don't use this drill and scratch up your clear coat right there. You can clearly see that there. There's probably more along there. Yeah, so maybe you rub the compound with an applicator pad and not a drill, or use a proper drill. I'm not sure, but don't do this way. Trust me, it's a pain. Oh, I just want to be done with this already. All right, so here we are with the final coat. Look at it. Look at the shine, the reflection. You can still see where it was messed up underneath if you look closely, but for the most part, I think it came out real nice. This is what we want. We want that nice glossy reflection. Look at that. So once this finally sets, we'll be able to install this and maybe polish it and maybe add some wax in a couple weeks when it completely hardens. But man, it really came out nice with that 2K clear coat. Now, as you can see, there's still some leftover spots of the previous clear coat. I guess I didn't do it right. Probably should have gone a little deeper to smooth out those white streaks, those white marks there. But I mean, look at the reflection on that. This is kind of what I was hoping for. You can see the reflection, and that's what I want. I wanted this thing to look nice and shiny and reflective. A couple things. I did have to do this over and over again. I had to repaint this so many times. So after I used up an entire can, I thought I'd be able to smooth it out and sand this, you know, with some really high grit paper. You know, I had 2000 and then 1500 and then 1000. But I guess I didn't do it right because this shine just was not like this. It wasn't the same. And this is what I wanted. So I smoothed it down and I essentially had to use the next can to fix it. So this is what the back looks like. And if you remember, the back looked way better than the front. So this really didn't need too much work in terms of sanding. However, I managed to unfortunately get some drips right around the curve there. And so I had to sand it down and respray it, which was where the second can actually ended up going to. All right, so now we're gonna talk about these cans. A couple things I should mention. One, these should not be sprayed indoors without proper ventilation. They throw out so much of the chemical everywhere that it's just very hard to breathe. Now, the next thing is these actually require quite a lot of time to actually dry. When I left it sitting overnight, which is about 8 hours, I would have assumed that it was at least dry. But I don't know if you can tell here, fingerprint. After 8 hours, it still wasn't dry. So, you know, keep that in mind, that this is not a quick process. This took a couple days, I'm not gonna lie. Oh no! This is what it looks like now, and hopefully next week we might be able to smooth it out and then buff it with some compound and polish and make it look nice and shiny. I would give this a good review. You know, it only came out bad because I didn't know what I was doing and I'm too lazy to actually fix it, as you can tell with the poor sanding and smoothing out of the previous clear coat. So I would definitely recommend this. I mean, compared to the way it was before and the way it looks now, it's definitely an improvement. This is what you can expect from the 2K clear coat. Until next time.